So, good evening. I'm going to call the meeting to order, the January 14th Finance Committee meeting. I'm going to start by asking everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. And our first item on our agendas are approval of minutes from the October 8th, 2025 and the October 22nd, 2025 meetings. So if anyone had any corrections, please email them to me, or unless they're short ones. Do we have any corrections on, let's start with the October 8th meeting minutes. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion is to approve the minutes as submitted.
Yes.
Okay, Becca made the motion. Do I have a second? Second, second it. So, given the lack of discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes as submitted for October 8th, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention. All right, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 0, 1. Thank you. Move on to our next item on the agenda, which is the vote of the minutes of approving the minutes from our October 22nd meeting. So do I have a motion to recommend approval of those minutes?
So moved.
So Becca's made the motion to approve those minutes as submitted. A second for that motion? Dawn, you second it? Dawn, do you know second the motion? Any discussion on those minutes? Not seeing any, I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes of October 22nd as submitted, say aye and raise your hands just so I make sure. Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Those. All right, moving on to item 4 on the agenda, which is the approval to pay 2 bills for the Finance Committee. We have an annual membership in the Massachusetts Association of State Finance Committees, which has annual dues of approximately $300, and we need to pay that. I have a bill that we've had since July, but we need to vote before I can pay for it. Authorize the payment. All right, I'm just going to ask if you authorize the payment of the annual dues for the Mass Association of Finance Committees. Yeah, all right.
Second.
And a second. So Joel has made the motion to approve the payment of the bill in the for the annual dues for the Massachusetts Association of Finance Committees. And Becca seconded that. Any discussion? Questions? No, it is our membership for the whole committee. Like, okay, because I saw something that, yeah, the second one is for the conference attendance. Oh, okay. All right. So, yeah, this is like, that's the annual dues for the entire town, then the conference was a separate thing. I misread it. Thank you. That's okay. Would you ask people to use the mics out of respect for the disabled, please? Thank you. Please remember you're using your mics, even though the meeting's being recorded, so we want to make sure everyone in the hall and at home can hear us, because, we're imparting such wisdom. All right, any other questions any questions or discussions about the membership in the State Finance Committee Association? Okay, not seeing any more. I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor of the approval of the motion to pay the annual dues for the Massachusetts Association of Finance Committees, say aye and raise your hands.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13 now. All right, our second bill that we need to pay is the payment for one member to who attended the who attended the annual meeting on October 18th. We had discussed like that we would agree to pay it, but we need to formally agree to pay it so that town hall can pay the bill. So I need a motion to recommend approval of the payment, authorize the payment for one member to attend the October 18th annual meeting of the ATFC. So
moved.
thank you. Becca's moved. I need a second. John has seconded. All right, any discussion on this? Joel?
Who was the attendee?
Jonna? Jonna was the attendee.
Okay. Was that the one in Sharon? Oh, okay.
How was it?
Good. That's it.
All right. Having said that, I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve the bill for the October 18th conference, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. We have 13-0-0. All right. We're going to move right along to item 5 on the agenda, which is a discussion or brief discussion, mostly about the FY27 budget process and updates. So, as you know, the school committee has submitted its budget. Thank you. As you know, the school committee has submitted its budget to town hall. The town hall will pass the budget along to the finance committee. The school committee has also submitted it to the finance committee. The Board of Selectmen will submit their budget to the finance committee. They have until, they have voted on it, but they still have technically until, I believe, Tuesday to do so by the charter. So once we have both those budgets and a draft revenue sheet, which will likely be the beginning of February, I will send out everything as a packet to you guys. I don't want to start sending it out now because we're also going to get in special town meeting stuff. And I'd rather it like just go as one group so that I can have it all organized for us. We have a lot, what we will do is when we have the select board will submit a proposed revenue sheet outlining where the revenues are coming. That is based on estimates. The largest unknown right now is the amount of money we will get for the state. So what has happened in the past and what we're going to follow this year is once House 1, which is the governor's budget, is submitted to the House of Representatives, that will list, proposed state funding for the town of Stoughton, including Chapter 70 and any other funds. And we will use those figures on the revenue sheet when we go through the process of balancing the budget. The charter is unclear as to, the school committee is responsible for the school budget, which is subject to town meeting approval after 2.5. The select board is responsible for anything that's not in the school budget. And the responsibility of submitting is best we can from the charter, and after speaking with the attorneys, the responsibility of submitting the balanced budgets to finance committees. So, and we do that. So that it will be that's kind of the process that we're going to use. So, we're not going to panic about any issues about, how much funding is going to be until we actually have numbers to start looking at. Any questions on that part? What goes along next is there's a whole bunch of nights that we're going to spend lots of quality time together at the end of February and all of March, here probably every Wednesday and Thursday, on hearings on various articles of the budget, items of the budget, as well as articles for the annual town meeting. I'm going to try to group, like we have in the past, the articles with the budget, with the articles that are related to the department that's also related to their budget, so that the people are here in the same nights as much as possible. So, for example, if we have the water and sewer department budgets and we have water and sewer articles, we do those at the same night. Right? And the first night, I am planning to have a presentation about basically what the revenue sheet looks like so that we can understand how the revenue sheet was calculated for all of our understanding as we go through the process. And if you have any particular questions or things that you would like asked, feel free to reach out to me, send me an email, and then remind me in February. Okay, any yep, Artie?
Use the mic, Mike. Already used the
Mike?
mic.
Mike, please.
When is the first meeting?
It is, I believe it is the Wednesday after the February vacation, the last week in February.
You'll probably send out a notice.
Oh, I will. There will be public hearing notices. You'll get lots of emails from me. You'll know. I just am blanking on the actual date. But
Wednesday, I believe it's Wednesday, February 25th.
Thank you. I have reserved the Great Hall every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday from that last week in February through April 1st. We likely will not use the Great Hall on Mondays unless we have to, because there'll be other committees that will need to do it as well. I just reserve them all in the fall. Any other questions?
I just want to note that we have 2 town meetings. We have a special in March and then our regular one. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands we do have to do everything to get 2 done.
Right. And we may have who knows if we'll have a special one and within the annual. I would hope not, but
I think we are.
we probably will, because there's probably something that'll have to be paid out of this year's budget and not next year's budget. All right, any other questions about the budget process? That's more just a heads up of everyone. All right. Before we go on to the Collins Center report, I just want to make sure this came up afterwards, that everyone knows that there is a special town meeting. The warrant closed last night. There are 3 articles. One involves the dissolution of the public health enterprise account. The second involves a transfer of approximately $3 million from the high school building account to the elementary school building account to reduce the borrowing. And then the third article involves a funding for the outside of the community center, which the funding is coming from the CPC. All right. We will be having hearings on those budgets, on those articles on 2 weeks from tonight. I'm presuming that we will be assigned all 3 of those articles by the Rules Committee, but if we're not, we'll hold a hearing on whatever ones we are. And at this point, that will lead into the Collins Center report update, which at the time I sent out the agenda, we did not yet have it. We have a copy of it. I figure what we will do tonight is I'd like to entertain a discussion. We have been asked to provide recommendations to the select board at our next meeting so that we have time to really read it and let it sink in, all 140 something pages of it. We will then vote after public hearings. We will then vote on our discussion, make final recommendations if anyone has them. All right. I'm going to ask as a courtesy if you have some sort of recommendation and it's going to be lengthy, more than a sentence, that you try to email it to me so that we can have, those, we can have any, that I can have the language, or even if you're doing it during the meeting. Arnie?
Why isn't Mr. Coulter here today? Because I went through the whole thing and got questions and clarifications that I'd like answered. And if we can answer them here, it's great, but...
Okay, well, I think then I will make sure he comes, that his presence is requested at our next meeting.
Thank you.
All right. So having that, I'm going to open it up to anyone from the committee. Have any questions, comments? Where do you want to start? Marty?
My question is, what is the Collins Center? I don't know.
As I understand it, which is not much, but the Collins Center it's an organization the town contracted with to do a review or audit of financial policies and had helped them draft financial policies. So they worked with several members of a committee that put this together. And ultimately, these policies will go before the select board to decide if they want to adopt them, not adopt them, adopt parts of them. That is their job, because there's, running the financial business of the town is an executive branch, which is the select board's. So a couple of people that were, on the committee that put together the draft policies were like Tom Coulter, Mark Tisdale, Biz, Vaughn Enochian, John Anzavino, a few other people. So they've put together the draft. The select board has asked both the finance committee and the school committee to review it and make any, if they have any recommendations or concerns, to share it with them. And the select board is planning to discuss it, I believe, February 2nd or 3rd. Arnie, then John, and then Chet.
I just looked it up. The Edward J. Collins Jr. Center for Public Management. This is a center part of the School of Public Management at the University of Massachusetts. It's dedicated to improving efficiency, effectiveness, governance, and accountability at all levels of state and local governments.
Thank you, Arnie. Jonna?
Thank you. I just wanted to.
I know, you need to speak up.
You can't hear me?
No.
Oh,
Right, when it's, make it really close.
okay. I wanted to ask, the Collins Center came up with the initial document, and then that group consisting of Vaughn and all the others then took that and made another draft from it, and that's what we're looking at.
How they went about, I imagine that the Collins Center has like model draft finance policies.
Okay, so the original that they extracted the information from and made a policy book out of, which is what we have here, where is the initial book that they drew that information from?
I will see if I can find out the answer to that, if there is a model book, all right?
Well, they didn't start out with that group, with, in John Anzavino and Enochian and all of them. They didn't devise this book from this, from.
No,
Okay, so I'm asking what the predecessor of this.
I suspect, and I will ask to be sure, there's probably, like many laws, there's model legislation, and there's probably model financial policies. There are model lesson plans if you were looking for them. So I suspect they have them, and that's probably where they use, because I'm sure nobody sat down with a blank piece of paper and wrote these.
Yeah, I want to see the predecessor
But
to
you want to
this.
know where the model ones came from.
Well, I want to see the predecessor to this. So,
Okay,
because in order to know what was changed or what was adopted and what wasn't adopted, you need to see the original document.
I understand that, and I will ask about it.
Thank you.
I do want to caution you that ultimately, it doesn't really matter what they changed, because this is the policy that is going to the select board that we're being asked to recommend or make recommendations on. So, you can have, so tracing what was changed may be interesting, and, I'm kind of curious too, so a little bit to a point, but it's also can be distracting, and that's not the focus of that's not our charge. Our charge is to look at these and decide what things we like, what things we don't like, what things we think should be added, any concerns we have, or, if we think that they're great or whatever, all right? So
Okay.
that's really what the discussion in 2 weeks, we want to really focus on our recommendations, because that's what we've been asked to do.
And I understand that, and it makes sense. However, with all due respect, sometimes when you see what the predecessor had, it might be better than what ended up in the draft, or maybe it's a little different connotation or whatever, and
Right.
I think it's important to see that.
Right, okay. I mean, I will see what we can find out and what is available if there's a model section that they use to start with every community.
Thanks.
All right. Chet?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jonah's concern, I think they should, in this book that we got also online, that they should have kind of highlighted the changes so that we would know what the verbiage was that was changed.
I think it's all new. That's what it is. I don't think
Oh,
there's
everything's new?
necessarily changes. I think
Okay.
it's a whole thing is the draft document. So it's not like we have a bylaw already in existence, like a zoning bylaw, and they're changing something and highlighting that. They put all of this together.
Okay. And one other thing I want to clarify that my name is Collins. I'm not responsible for this report.
Duly noted.
Yeah, if it comes out good, I'm great. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Joel?
Yeah, I had a chance to take a look at it too. I have in my possession financial policies for about 5 or 6 other towns I happen to have. So in the course of the next week, I will send to you a comparison about
Thank
what
you.
was between this and the other towns that I've looked at, and I have copies of. Some of them are about 4 or 5 years old, but most of them are basically about the same thing. In fact, when I was going through this, the basic structure of the report is very similar to the other policies that I've read in the past. So I will send that over
Thank
to
you.
you, and you
I'd
guys can
appreciate
take a
it.
look at it and find out how other towns approach certain items.
And whatever you send to me, I will share with the committee at the
I
next
would
time.
assume so. Thank
All right.
you.
And we will not be debating this over email. If I send out something by email as a handout, just don't respond on emails so we don't violate any public meeting laws.
Gotcha.
Arnie?
All my comments that I've done were assuming that Mr. Coulter would be here. How do you want me to handle this?
Okay. I think if you want to if you still want to share them and at least share them with us that we know
Yeah.
what some of your concerns are, that's probably a good place. You can also send them to me and I will forward them to him and I will tell him that we would really like him here at the next meeting.
Very good. I can do that if you want.
Yeah, I'd be interested
some
to
of the-
see what some of your concerns were.
Yeah.
And-
Do you want me to start now?
yeah. Unless anyone else has any basic questions.
All right. Let's start on page 4. Three B says they talk about enterprise funds. May only be established for a utility, school, transportation service, cable television, public access, healthcare, and recreational. The rest is irrelevant, but my question is that we have SMAC, and that is not a enterprise fund. Are we planning to establish an enterprise fund that supports public, what do they call it here, 3B, television public access?
Okay.
Page 4. Again, policy, paragraph 2, second sentence. The town would not use budgetary procedures that balance the budget at the expense of future years, such as postponing or deferring a payment of expenses already incurred, accruing future year revenues, or rolling over the short-term debt. I think we need a clarification of that. That's not really a clear paragraph. Page 13.
Was it page already?
Page 13?
13?
13, yes. Policy 1B. They talk about the town establishing 5 enterprise funds to make important financial and management information readily accessible for rate setting. Excuse me, that is incorrect. It's just sentence 1 talking about 5 enterprise funds. What happens if we need to establish more than 5 enterprise funds? How is this done, and should that be discussed in this particular
I
paragraph?
think how enterprise funds are established is defined by state law, and it has to be approved by town meeting. There's a process the town has to go through to establish enterprise fund by state law. So it wouldn't go into the financial policy. And I think what this sentence is saying that the town has established. So I mean, if they establish more, I think they're referring to right now just the ones that we currently have. So the town can always establish one by going through a process, but the process the town would use to establish it involves town meeting, is not part of this financial policy.
Thank you. All right, page 14, paragraph 6. It shows sewer and water enterprise fund users' charges shall be reviewed annually, and it goes on to discuss that. My question is the sewer and water combined billing at this point? Because it was, I understood, separate billing? Paragraph 8.
Yeah, come on with trash and water and sewer.
I mean, I know they all show up on your water, sewer, trash bill, and you pay whatever you.
But weren't they separate entities?
They're billed separately. Like, I do not have sewer, I do not get a sewer bill on I get a trash fee, and I
Same
get
here.
a water fee. If I'm not on town, so if I wasn't on town trash, or like if I was in a condo that association where the association covered it, you would not get a trash fee. They all come on the same bill, but they're billed separately. So my bill may not be the same as your bill because you and I may not have the same utilities that we're using from
But
the
I
town.
understood at the last town meeting, they were talking about 2 separate departments, the way they were managed and everything else.
And there are 2 separate departments in budget in the 2 separate enterprise accounts.
Okay.
And they're trying to make sure that each of those enterprise accounts is self-sufficient on their own, like one's not being used to subsidize the other.
Very good. Paragraph 8. Mid-year adjustments of rates will be sought only under extraordinary circumstances in response to emergencies that cannot be accommodated through the appropriation of available retained earnings. My question is, if we have a mid-year adjustment and it is implemented, is that going to be permanent, or does it go back to the original fee?
I'm going to say that any adjustments to the water and sewer rates are all made by the select board acting as the water and sewer commissioners. So they have to hold these public meetings, and if they may, it would be how they voted it at that time. If they voted a special 1-year rate, or if they voted just a permanent increase, it would be how the language they used at the time. All this is saying that they want, what this is saying, as I understand it, they want them to set the rates once a year and leave them set once a year so that people know what they are for that year and plan accordingly. If they're going to change them mid-year, they only want to do it under extraordinary circumstances when retained earnings are not sufficient. That's the policy that they're looking for here.
I just would have thought that part of it would probably be explained in this paragraph.
I think there's a presumption that and it's referenced up here, that the select board acts as the in Stoughton, the select board is the they act as the water and sewer commissioners. And water and sewer commissioners, that role by state law has certain powers and procedures that they follow. So anything in state law is going to supersede what's in any sort of financial policy. So it probably is assuming that that's all covered under the way that's authorized, and presumes that the people that are reading this know about how the state law works, even if we may not know all the details of it.
Thank you for clarifying that. Page 31, policy, 1A through 1C.
Arnie,
they're-
can you,
they're
I'm sorry,
talking-
Arnie, can you say that again? You said page 31, where?
31, policy, 1A through 1C. They're talking about, over here, performing maintenance and everything else. We own a building, as an example, the Armory. That thing seems to be falling apart, and they are not maintaining it. And buildings should be maintained. If we purchase them, they should be maintained and not left to rot like the Armory's rotting. And I think that should be in there. The fact that they've got to maintain the building with some sort of level of maintenance so it doesn't just fall apart.
All right, I do think,
I think that's in there, though. So if you look at 1C, to endeavor to provide and preserve the infrastructure and equipment needed for achieving the highest levels of public service and quality of life possible by annually developing a 5-year capital improvement plan to ensure adequate investment in the town's capital assets. Like, to me, that's just an overall,
But the point is that in the past, they haven't been doing this at all.
Right.
And what is going to be their plan to refurbish these buildings, sell them, or do whatever it takes, maintain them? But they haven't been doing it.
I think the start is to require them to have an annual capital improvement plan so that every year they're spending money. They have a plan for the next 5 years, and they're updating it every year for the following year to figure out what maintenance needs to be done next year, what ones need to be done 3 years down the road on all the buildings, so they can plan accordingly. I think that's the whole purpose of this article. Ben, did you have something, or Dennis? Okay.
Do you want to talk and then?
If you want to talk on this part, Ben, go right ahead.
Oh, go ahead, jump in. I can continue after he's done.
Okay. Madam Chair. Are we talking about the same policy?
No, it's completely unrelated.
Yeah, please.
It's completely unrelated to what he's talking about right now, so I don't want to derail his
Okay, then
his
what,
thought.
all right, then we will wait, okay? I thought it was on this same policy, so I figured if we're talking about policy 1A on page 31, that let's have any comments on it.
I'm back.
But thank you.
Page 32. It specifically says on paragraph 7, no specific spending target is established for enterprise projects, fund projects. Why is there no specific target? I think they're just as much a part of this community as we are. They should be planning things for 5 years, just like we do. And I disagree with that particular
Okay,
sentence.
I think that's a good question that we can ask. For number 7, why is there no target?
Page 32, 8. I'm going to skip that one.
You're looking at it now, Artie.
C 38. Sorry. 38,
38.
1C. The town shall not issue debt to fund current or ongoing operations in the town, operations of the town or schools, except in the form of a tax anticipation note, where applicable in compliance with the federal laws. I'm just looking for a clarification on that.
Can you anyone clarify, tax page
Page
38?
Page 38, 1C.
1C, page 38, 1C, debt purpose.
On 1C, I just want a clarification on it because I'm not clear about what it means.
What was the question? Which one? I'm sorry, my hearing is a little shot.
That's it. I'll speak louder.
It's okay, go ahead.
Paragraph 1C, debt purpose.
1C, the town shall not issue debt to fund.
Yes.
The town shall not issue debt to fund current or ongoing operations of the town or schools, except in the form of tax anticipation notes where applicable in compliance with federal, I'm assuming it's supposed to say in compliance with federal and Massachusetts laws and
Yeah,
regulations.
I'm going to agree with that.
I don't have a clear understanding of what that means.
I've never run into a tax anticipation note before, so I can't answer
I
your
think
question.
it's like a short-term type of borrowing thing, but we will get clarification on that because
I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Page 38, paragraph 2, paragraph 2A and 2B. And the A is town will keep total debt under 5% of equalized valuation pursuant to this law. Again, I'd like a clarification on that. It's my own personal clarification.
you want to know what the law is?
I want to know what it means.
All right. I will going to interpret it as basically that I'll ask for clarification.
Yeah.
That's a question that
I
we
mean,
can ask.
I spent a lot of time just reading this, not going into all the laws and everything they mentioned. Would
No.
drive me crazy.
No.
Anyways, the second one is C. The town shall ensure that enterprise rates, community preservation receipts are sufficient to cover associated self-supporting debt. Enterprise rates will be adjusted accordingly. I'm going to withdraw that comment.
Can I ask a question on this page about something prior? Can I interject for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
While we're here.
Sorry about
While we're on this page,
Okay, that's
please,
what I
yes.
figured, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, on B, it states that, well, I'm coming in the mid-sentence, between 3 and 7% of total general fund revenues or less. It seems like or less shouldn't be there. I'm really opposed to that. It should be more definitive for financial policies. Oh, the DLS
It
also,
states in DLS, that paragraph is in DLS.
that's right.
That paragraph is in DLS, and it does not have or less.
So you don't think there should be or less?
Well, it just leaves the door open to having confusion. Like, for example, in 183A for the condos, the Massachusetts general law, it says that all condos over 50 in number have to have an audit/statement or a review. So some can do audits and some can do reviews. So I don't like when there's any opportunity
I think
for-
that's a fair comment.
All right, thank you.
Next one's page 65, unfunded liabilities.
What page?
Page 65. Hold on. Oh, this was a it's a general comment. Are user fees reviewed yearly, and are they updated yearly? Or are they only updated as needed? I just want a clarification of
Your
that.
question is,
Is
are user fees updated yearly or just as needed?
Yes.
Thank you. Let me write that down.
I think
64
Cynthia might know the
years.
answer.
That's just a general.
Cynthia, if you can shed some light on this, I'd appreciate it.
Cynthia Walsh, 1096 Park Street, that controls one of the enterprise funds, and also I go to a lot of these meetings. And the user fees are updated annually. They're not necessarily raised, but the receipts are compared to the cost of operation of the enterprise fund, and then either in my case, it would be the Cedar Hill Committee for the golf course, but for water and sewer, it's, as you've pointed out, it is the select board. A lot of these questions, anyone who's been in town government would know. It's just that some people have less experience.
Well, we're trying to educate everybody, so I appreciate, education is good.
Thank
It
you.
better be. I spent 30 years doing it.
Thank you for your clarification. I promise you there's only two more.
Afterwards, Dave, I will see about taking questions from the audience.
Page 67, unfunded liabilities.
I'm sorry. 67?
It's a general question.
Okay.
Does Stoughton fund 100% of health and dental insurance for retirees?
Thank you. I wrote that question down. I do not know the answer of that one.
And
We'll
my
add that to
last
the
one,
list.
probably, so you can breathe a sigh of relief. Page 81. Hold on, I gotta find it. Page 81, procedures 1B. That's just a correction. It says cash of check. I believe that should be cash or check.
What page?
I'm sorry, page 81.
Payments.
1B.
Cash or check.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I want to thank you for taking the time to go through that as well, because it's a good way to approach this, because I suspect for many of us, analyzing financial policies is not something that we do in our day jobs, at least to this degree. Did you have a quick thing to say?
A quick comment, Arnie. You made the comment about the tax anticipation note, and it struck a kind of thing in my head. You may remember that they used to collect property taxes semi-annually, twice a year, and now it's quarterly. And I remember the director of finance some years back telling me that that caused havoc with his cash flow sometimes, so that he had to actually go out and borrow temporarily to cover expenses until the next set of taxes came in. When they moved to the quarterly payment, he said that all that disappeared.
So the tax
A tax
TANs
anticipation
were-
note, I think, was for that.
or for the temporary short-term borrowing
Right,
while we
he
waited
had
for
a
the
short-term
taxes.
borrow because he ran out of, cash on hand is what he ran out of, so.
That makes sense. I heard it, but we will also get clarification on that as well. Does that make sense, Arnie? Because it kind of makes sense to me.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much. I appreciate the comment.
Okay, Ben, you have some comments on pages?
Sure, I'll start with page 5.
I'm gonna ask the committee if anyone else has any comments on anything on the pages. If Ben picks them up, please bring them up at that time with the pages so that we're not going back and forth repeatedly. But no, I appreciate everybody taking the time to do this and ask what knowledgeable or relevant questions.
Okay, I'm going to start with the bottom of page 5. That's section F. At least 14 days prior to the annual town meeting, the Committee of Finance and Taxation shall issue recommendations and explanations to town meeting members. That 14 days doesn't seem like enough time.
That's from the town charter.
Okay,
And that's mailing out those, that's when we send out those reports.
okay. All right, so same thing on the bottom of page 6, so that's the same
So-
applicable.
I may agree that it's not enough time, but then as I got the experience of doing it in the fall, I was getting them to the town clerk on that basically 14th day that they needed to go out, or the 15th day. So, and since we're the ones that are preparing that report, but yeah, that's specified in the charter.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to page 7, the bottom of page 7. So for a long-range financial forecast and applicability, this policy applies to the town manager, finance director, town accountant, select board, and committee on finance and taxation. Why is the school committee not included with that?
By law, the select board can't have anything has no say over the school committee and education budget. That is by law, the school committee does.
Okay,
And the appropriations are subject to town meeting approval. I may not sure I would want this to apply to the finance committee. I don't know if we should be bound by a policy of the select board, but that's something that we can think about and discuss the next meeting when we want to make recommendations.
okay. All right, I'm going to flip all the way over to page 38. So I'm looking for some general guidance in what we should, how much of the operating budget should be allocated to debt service. And I don't really see anything specific on this page regarding that. The closest thing I see to it is maybe 2, section B. The town will endeavor to keep total tax-supported debt service, i.e. net of debt exclusions and self-supported debt, between 3% and 7% of total general revenue funds or less. Is there any other guidance in terms of how much of the how much debt service we should be targeting within the budget?
I'm just restating. You want to know if there's any other guidance on how much debt we should be, annual debt service we should be carrying in the budget.
That's correct.
Okay, I'm going to write, that's a question I'm going to ask to follow up on.
Okay.
Can I interject at this point? Yeah, okay,
Is it on this?
yeah.
Thank you. I'm
Yeah,
trying
I
to
knew
write
you were
these
writing,
down.
that's why I was waiting, okay. Thank you. And in the document, in the DLS, it conflicts with the Collins report here because they have 4 to 7%, and this is 3 to 7%, so I'd like to,
You'd like to know why they chose 3 to 7 as opposed to 4 to 7?
yeah, because there's arguments, I think, that are more for the 4 to 7 than the 3 to 7, being more advantageous. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I have a correspondence from the DLS from Marcia Boheen, and it's from 2020. And she issued some guidelines in terms of how much debt service we can do within the budget. And do you mind if I read verbatim what she sent?
How long is it?
It's a half paragraph.
Okay.
So, as a control for maintaining consistent capital investment, the town will seek to replace maturing debt obligations with new issuances so that year-to-year debt service is maintained at a target level representing 4 to 6% of general revenues. The town will also seek to fund greater proportions of the debt obligations within the base annual tax levy as opposed to using debt exclusions, with the goal of eventually achieving a consistent level of annual non-excluded debt service equivalent to 3% of general fund revenues.
So they're
it.
recommending the non-included debt, the non-excluded, the included debt service to be 3%.
That's correct.
And the policy that you cited, John, had 4 to 7%, and this policy, proposed policy, has 3 to 7%.
Which shows we need clarification.
Okay, I do think, like most policies, some of this is, it's up to the people who are choosing the policy. So, you'd like to know why they chose, basically, we want to know why they chose that range of percentages as opposed to just 3% or 4 to 7% or 20% or whatever number happened to, pop into somebody's head.
Well, you can determine the efficacy better if you know what the reasoning
Wait,
behind
we want to
it
know
is.
their reasoning. No, and that's what I want to follow
Exactly.
up on so that we can get these answers and have,
Thank you.
So I'd like to follow up and maybe send you that language, and maybe we could put it to a vote to see if we want to make those recommendations to include that into our
What we will
financial
do is,
policy.
all right, definitely send me the language, and what I'm going to, what to do is if we want to make recommendations to vote into a we'll vote next meeting
Okay.
after we do the public hearings. But if you want to send any proposed motions or they don't necessarily need to be formal motions, but they need to, what's your recommendation in writing so that we have the right language, that would be appreciated.
Okay. Yeah, if you want me to make any correspondence to anyone with a DLS,
And if you and I want to talk after, another time private, separately, we can do that.
okay.
Do you want a copy of this?
Yeah, you can send it to me, email it to me. Did you have anything else that you wanted to bring up right now?
That's all I have for the moment.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody, Ian?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you ever hear me clearly? Just on page 57.
57?
57, yes.
Thanks.
57. It's in the grant section, point 4. It says to set up ETF accounts. And if we could just get clarification for what ETF is an acronym for.
Electronic fund transfer.
Wouldn't that be EFT?
It usually is. This might be a typo. But it makes sense to type
I think
it
that's
out.
defined in the previous page. ED Director,
Yeah, I don't know what that sequence of letters means. I got confused in the sequence.
No, I think that's a valid question, just to, Anything else?
That's it, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Anyone else have any questions or comments that you'd like to make at this time? Jonna?
I just would like to have the town manager explain how would we get back in line if we fail or fall below the recommendations? What his protocol, what his procedures would be, or what his
What are you I'm not sure. Fall behind in what area?
in any area, in any of the things in here,
So if we violate the procedures.
or fall out of
Policy.
line.
I
or
mean, ultimately, the select board is the policymaker for the executive, for the municipal side of town. They can make whatever policies that they want as long as they're consistent with state law. So they can change policies. They can not make policies. That's their decision.
Right.
And if we don't like that, our decision is to vote accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
But you'd like to know
Right, how would we get
how
back
are
in
we gonna,
compliance?
how are we going to enforce compliance?
Or how to get back in compliance if we fall out of compliance?
Okay.
Which is a little different than,
Right,
okay.
so how we would enforce compliance and how would we get back in compliance?
Sure.
How would we remediate a situation where we fall out?
Falling out and, not, and, yeah, falling out of compliance and what the penalties or whatever would, what, whatever we just said a minute ago, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
I mean, realistically, if it's the select board's policy and the select board decides to change its policy or not follow its policy,
Oh, so there's no,
it's like us at town meeting, we can, have a decision at town meeting, but we can make another decision at town meeting. We can't bind other town meetings, so, we can make, so that's, there's, like, you can't take them to court if they didn't necessarily, if they changed their mind on a policy.
right, but I just wanted
I
to
would
know
think
how
if
would
the
we
t-
keep ourselves in the parameters, I think is more what I'm.
I think that's
more what
a good question.
I'm trying to say. I wasn't wording it right.
No, I
No wonder
know,
you weren't
that's why I'm
getting me. I
asking
wasn't
you, I'm
getting
trying
me.
to make sure. No, I think it's a fair question.
Thanks, okay. I'm glad you understood, thank you.
I don't think any of us want to see the select board changing financial policies every 6 months. It's not,
This is quick. Just to cover Ian's question, if you go to page 53 under applicability, ED is defined as the economic development. ED. No, he said, did you say ED?
No, the acronym in question says ETF, which could be exchange traded funds yeah, I mean, so I just wanted to be specific. It's the only spot in the document where the acronym ETF is used, and if we can get a definition for specifically what that acronym refers to.
it might be
Apologies, I
helpful to have an
misunderstood.
acronym guide in general that could be made at some point.
Yes,
You backlist all the acronyms.
yeah. Well, and I mean, generally throughout the document, acronyms are put in parentheses after that phrase and then used sort of consistently, and I'm okay with that
Right,
standard.
and it may have been mentioned in some other place, or it may have just forgotten about it or whatever. It's a good point to bring up and get clarification on. Any other questions, comments?
Just out of curiosity, is it possible for me to make a motion if we didn't get that original document, whatever you want to refer to it as, that we wouldn't be able to vote until we had that? Because it really lends itself to not transparency, and I want transparency.
You can always make a motion, and we can always vote on it.
I'd like to make a motion.
So to make sure both that I am understanding it and
For transparency, that's all I want to do it for.
I'm going to make sure that I'm understanding the motion both for myself and also for Dolores when she's our recording secretary, when she's writing the minutes, so we have the right
Makes sense.
language. You want to make a motion that we make no recommendation on, the
No vote.
Finance Committee
No
takes
vote.
no vote on this policy unless we have the original document
For transparency
for
purposes.
transparency purposes.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
I'll second that.
All right, so we have that motion from Jonna that I'm going to restate it and hopefully remember it. That the Finance Committee take no vote on this policy until we have the original model policy document that was used to generate these policies in the interest of transparency.
Can I just ask one question?
And we have a seconded by Chet. So that's the motion and the second that's on the floor. I'll open it up for discussion. Becca?
what if that document is proprietary with the Collins Center, and so they don't give it out because it's what they use for everybody, and so if it's proprietary to them, and they only give when you pay for, if you're using them, you get your result from them.
Okay,
What then?
well, we can cross that bridge when we come to it, but that's speculation at this juncture, so I'd rather see if we could pursue it and see what happens. But, it's a point well taken.
Okay.
I'd want to amend the motion then, like that only if we can.
Well, we wouldn't do it if we couldn't, right?
Well, again, this is our policy, and so we can vote one thing now and change it next mind anyway. But,
Right.
Arnie?
I'd like to just make a comment. Maybe we should change it to, what did the town receive from the Collins Institute, that particular document? If it was proprietary and we paid for it, it's a public document.
I will check to see if that is a correct interpretation of that, all right? But I'm going to ask for the document, and I will share whatever reasoning or explanation or answer I get. Marty?
Our objective is to vote on this document, not some other document
Right.
that was its predecessor. I would not want to limit my ability to vote on this document, which is our objective.
Okay, thank you. Joel?
He basically took the words right out of my mouth. As far as I'm concerned, this is the document we're going to be voting for. How it got to this point, I don't really think is relevant. That's my own opinion.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments on the motion?
I think it's
Ben?
going to be a good point of reference to see what's standard recommendations to different towns. So I think it will be very valuable to look at and see what was removed or what was added to it.
Okay. Jonna?
I just want to reiterate that I just want transparency. I mean, there's nothing wrong with seeing what preceded it. That's all. That's all. It's not nefarious or anything. I just think it's a good idea for transparency to see what preceded it.
I think we're going to presume positive intent. I hate that phrase, but I'm using it here. That the motions being, there's a good reason to make the motion, and there's reasons to support the motion, and there are reasons to not support the motion. I am going to, regardless, try to find out what that document is, if it'll be shared to us, and see what is. And to be honest, I will report back what I find out at our next meeting. If not sooner, through email, I'll let you know. But, so if you want to vote on the motion now, we can vote on it. But I do want to make sure, we keep how we decide, how we get the information to decide. We can come to different approaches to come to our opinion on this, but ultimately, what we are voting on is this, not any other policies. So, Ian?
I'd just like to say, Jonah, that I appreciate you, requesting that document, and I think having more documents is, better than having fewer documents. But I also just don't think that we should necessarily limit ourselves or kind of issue that ultimatum of we're not going to vote if we don't get this document in exchange.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, not having any more discussion, I'm going to call for a vote. Excuse me.
Can we vote for it at the next meeting? So people can have a chance to think about it?
You made the motion now. Do you want to table it until the next meeting? All right, so you withdraw it. You're going to table this motion. You're going to withdraw it now and bring it up at the next meeting.
But will you still find out about it?
I'm going to ask about it now because I want to know it because of the next
Perfect.
meeting. So
Then yes, I'll table it. Thank you so much.
thank you. Having that, any other business, other discussion business? Then I would like, Dave, I will give you 2 minutes.
Thank you, Dave.
Out of the
Lurie,
courtesy.
Dave Lurie, 18 Robinette Road. A question came up. I just want to help out. There was 5% of equalized value. It's equalized value is the property value of the entire town. So we're in like $4 to $8 billion worth of equalized value of the town.
And we're looking at 5%
There's
of
various
that.
reasons when that comes into effect on either taxation or parameters on debt. They set that as, so that if your property values sink, you have to adjust and think, oh, wait a minute, am I inside that 5%? Because that's a hard cap.
Okay.
You can't exceed it. So 5% is equalized value of that full property value. That's all that is.
Thank you. And thank you for brief. Did you want one brief comment as well?
Hi, Lisa Lyons, Precinct 2. I just wanted to publicly commend you for the way you're running this meeting, allowing everybody to speak and using the words, taking responsibility, one, asking for the policy to come before the select board, before the finance committee, before it went to the select board, and you understanding that it is the finance committee's job to actually make recommendations on policies. So thank you.
Thank you. I will say that the select board asked us to make recommendations, so they asked for our opinion. Oh, well, at least they were asking us, so I guess that's good. Yeah. Although several of us in this room, both at this table and in the audience, have no trouble sharing our opinions, even when no one wants to hear them. So, but as a committee, we will come up with whatever we want to come up with as a committee next time. All right, on that note, I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, I have a motion to adjourn that was made by Joel and Becca, a second by Jonna. I'll give it credit to you both, all right? All those in favor of the motion to adjourn, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, you can stay.
You are welcome to.
All right, thank you, everybody. The meeting's adjourned, and thank you, everybody, for your thoughtful contributions. And if people want to talk to me privately or get other questions, reach out. Thank you.